So one of the important aspects of this whole process is our goals. Smart, and we're using the SMART goals again.
Mm-hmm.
So Tamara, can you talk a little bit about, you know, some best practices to consider as we go here in the second year of this process and in coming up with SMART goals that reflect what's expected of you at work?
Sure, yeah, SMART goals are really important because they're intended to capture the expectation of your job, what it is you're going to focus on in the coming year, right?
Okay.
So it's a good time to revisit job descriptions.
Okay.
It's not necessarily an exact translation of that job
Sure.
description, right? Because the job description is meant to be pretty broad. So the goals should be more specific. Exactly
Absolutely.
what it is you're going to be working on in the coming year. What about
But
that
it's not just new work, right? I mean, goals shouldn't just be stuff in addition to my normal
not project
job.
work.
I mean, it can be, but it really should capture everything that's expected of you, even your day-to-day, as well as maybe any new focus areas,
That's
correct?
correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
And I know that was a confusing element for folks in the first year, right?
We had a lot of folks ask about that, you know, gee whiz, and my team especially too, you know, technology team, they're like, gosh, we do things every day that we don't capture as like a stop and end thing, right? It's sort of this long, it's a maintenance mode, right? So think about those SMART goals as having an end period of the end of the cycle. Like you're gonna do it daily, you know, but you may have a frequency level.
Right.
You might be, and I talk to my team about this all the time, you're looking at what's the measurable part of that, right? How do I measure something like that? Well, you are looking
Might
to
be
make
system
it
uptime.
exactly.
Maybe
I want it
customers
100%
reached.
reliable. I want 100% of the customers have a resolve, you know, issue, right? And you can measure those things, right? Did that person get resolved? Yes, you know they did. Okay, boom, that's a tick. You know, that's something you can measure. So.
And that is a part of SMART goals, where you
That's a part of
want to
it.
be specific, and that's a huge part of it, is taking the work and making it very specific so that the manager and the employee, we all know what's expected.
What it is.
The M would be the metrics that you talk about. If
Measurable.
possible, find something so, again, to make it as objective as possible. What's the A?
Achievable.
Oh, okay, so you don't want something
Realistic.
that's so large. At the same time, you don't want it to be something you did 3 years ago, so
That's
it's got to
right.
find the right balance.
It should be a little bit of a stretch, but not impossible, because we want employees to succeed.
Absolutely.
So it needs to be just slightly
and then
more than
what's the R?
the results oriented.
Okay, does that mean the connection to the organizational goals, to
Departmental
goals?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's that alignment piece that's so important. And what's the T?
Yeah, the T is time frame, timeline,
Oh.
timely. So stick a time around it. Everybody knows that, you know, if you have a goal out there hanging and you say, yeah, we're going to do that, and everybody says, yeah, we're going to do that, you know, if you don't put a timeline on it, you know, chances are pretty good that other things come into play, other things happen, and then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, gee, we wanted to do that, you know, whereas if you actually stick a time around it, you're more likely to complete that. Whether or not you complete it on time, you may have to move that timeline a little bit, but the chances are very good that you'll complete it. So again, the whole idea is to look for ways to make it easy for people to know what they're doing, get it done, and be able to say how well you did it. That's the measurable piece of that, right? How well did you do it? And then, you know, if let's say you set the SMART goal, and you find out in 3 months that there were pieces of the SMART goal that didn't quite make sense, or maybe wasn't quite accurate, you modify it.
That's why that form is open in step 3, leading to the interim process, right? To really refine, and that's also why notes are there.
Yes.
And again, that houses it, but hopefully too, right? The employee is speaking with the manager on a regular basis. Isn't that really important here in terms of expectations?
That communication should never be
weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, one of those options. Now, how many goals? I know that the software has a minimum of 3, but what's a best practice?
It really depends on the individual, but I think it's safe to say that we don't want employees to have so many goals that they're overwhelmed.
Yeah. And there's no exact science.
There's no exact science, but I would say, you know, 3 to 5 to 6. I mean, it depends on what the goal is and the nature of that. 15
goals is probably too many.
Too many.
3 is the minimum. It depends on the goal. Could be enough, but chances are you probably want more than 3 and less than 10, probably. Somewhere in there. Okay. All right. SMART goals, key component. We'll talk next in a moment about competencies.